Ready.
Hey Lindsay, can you hear us okay?
There we go.
I can't. Yeah, thanks.
Good to have you here.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Let's turn my video on for a quick second so you can see me.
Okay.
That's not quite fair.
No.
There she is. There's palm trees in the background.
I know we're actually in Hawaii.
But you
I
gave me the
will
chair right
introduce
there.
myself
Yeah.
so that you guys can see who I am.
All right. Well, I think we'll just start with introductions. I'm Seth Brandenberger. I'm the chair at the moment.
I'm Joan Taylor and I'm the residential parking permit holder representative.
I'm Sandy Scholl, formerly Birds and Beasleys, and I am the business rep right now, unless you and I are switching. I'm not sure which title each of us has.
David Knopke, the Transportation Systems Director.
I'm Chris Coy, I'm the Transportation Deputy Director.
Okay.
And Lindsay Camersell, I think newly appointed committee member.
Well, welcome. Thanks for signing up.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing how I can help.
So Lindsay, you're an architect now, right?
Correct. Yes.
Oh, okay. Great. All right. There's no public here, so I assume there's no public comment at this time.
Nobody online.
Need an agenda for the working meeting?
Oh, I have one.
Okay. Chris, do you need an agenda?
Sure.
We're the only ones here.
Okay.
There's a lot of things.
Okay, so, is there any, before we get going on, kind of priorities, is there any, board member comment?
We know about Chris.
What's that?
Chris,
He's not showing up till 4, right?
I don't know. I can't
I
remember.
think that's what he said. He was on, couldn't make the work session, but I think he said he was going to be in person for the regular meeting.
Okay. All right, so, I think the purpose of this is to have a work session and kind of dial down into some of the issues that we don't have time to, address during the regular meetings. I
Can you hear
went,
us okay?
what,
Lindsay, can you hear us okay?
I can. Yeah. Sorry. Just switching locations.
It's getting too hot.
yeah, move to the shade.
Yeah.
All right, so I did look back and Julia had done a recommendations to the city commission on March 13th last year, or that's when she had the draft prepared. I don't know when she met. It was probably a month later in April.
It was right around this, it wasn't before all.
And I looked at what she had written down, and it was pretty general as far as let's see. Parking Advisory Committee has reviewed the recent parking changes with transportation staff and provided input on additional changes moving forward, including the removal of smart meters, which I assume was the lollipop, right?
Yep, those are all done.
The coin meters.
Yep.
The committee has also supported staff in the addition of more permit spots that are offered at a discounted rate for part-time use. The committee has noted that concerns from the public often stem from a misunderstanding of current parking rates, rules, and enforcement. The committee is also reviewing residential parking permits and is working with staff on a public survey of current permit holders. And then, yeah, that was really the statement. And she just said that there were improved communications about parking systems that should address the public's misunderstanding of downtown parking system. So there's I don't know if you guys had some ideas of how to go about this. There's a couple of things that came up this week. One is there was another news cast this morning from Great Falls where they increased their parking rate to $1.50 per hour, from $1 to $1.50. And the other thing that Abigail sent me was the city of Bozeman is doing their own parking survey. And the one thing about that is I went through their survey and it was pretty good. Just kind of like ours. But they had this downtown parking occupancy map, and I don't know how they did it. I mean, they're able to tell how many vacant spaces, I assume, are open during different times of the day. I don't know if we can do that, but
So do they have free parking downtown, right? But
2
they're
hours.
2 hours, but their parking structures or garages,
I think they have
they
one.
charge.
Yeah, they have one downtown structure. It's 2 hours free and 6 hours for the rest of the day. Yeah,
Yeah, the biggest thing I think that we would have to learn about Bozeman, and I can't remember, is do they get any money from any other fund? Because parking here doesn't get any, assistance from the general fund or anything like that. So our user fees fund, whereas other communities have parking districts, they have, contributions from other funds. So it sometimes makes parking a little bit more. That's why you see some places are able to do a lot of free parking. Because it's getting paid for somewhere, because the upkeep of the garages and the lots and everything has to come out of some pot.
yeah,
So one of our priorities should probably be to look at alternative revenue sources. And if there's a way to get into the budget somehow of the city or other places to increase the amount of budget that you have in your parking.
now there is. What happened to the grant we put in for 150,000 for access last September?
Is that it?
No, it was called something else.
What's it to the
DMO or something. What was
to
it
the
called?
Department of Transportation?
Yeah, wasn't there 150,000?
Oh, you're talking about, I think what you're talking about. PA, but
Yeah, and that didn't get funded. I didn't get selected.
All right.
so before your thing here, there's a little fine print on their map that says data is collected daily at 1 p.m. So this
That's one.
occupancy map is taken once a day, one time a day
Oh.
is what they use data from. Could we do something like this? Probably. Knowing that, is it really all that useful, or we're just
Probably not.
I
Yeah,
think your PCOs posted down and there was a few things.
The hardest part about something like this is gonna be the garage and lots where we have both pay to park and permit parking. Unless we get readers at every entrance and exit, of all of those places, you're never gonna know the permit occupancy. You're only ever really gonna know, we could probably do a passport thing where they have an active session, depending on where they go, but then we only have the one zone, right? We did the one zone, one rate. So we can't actually tell what zone they parked in, which I'm assuming goes into part of this. They probably have all the different zones. So could we do something like that? Probably.
How awful would it be? I don't know. Yeah, to think about it. I mean, if you could do it at one.
So
you
when
could
they
also
go by-
do it at other hours,
If they go
right?
by and pull the license plate off a permit, that doesn't go into the database anymore.
It kind of does, but not super helpfully, I would say. Yeah, not super helpfully.
Okay, so this,
Planning committee term.
the data is Monday through Friday, though. It's just the same.
Right, once a day.
Once a day,
Friday.
yeah. Okay.
So they either drive or their PCOs go on.
Yeah, they have some mechanism to collect it every day.
Yeah, yeah,
And that could be as easy as active sessions at
Right.
1 o'clock.
yeah.
So, yeah, we could probably come up with something like that, and I'll look into it with Passport. Or, so the LPR, though, the license plate reader, it is actively reading plates the whole time, right? But it doesn't really do anything with that information unless it generates a hit saying this license plate doesn't have any permission to be here.
Okay.
If it has permission to be there, it kind of just moves along. It doesn't really register as anything.
All right.
So back to the question, how we wanna.
So that, what was it called? It was called a MDO funding grant.
The NPO funding grant.
That's what I had.
Yeah.
MPO, yeah.
MPO.
It didn't
go. Okay.
That was, so the other projects it was up against, the East Helena School District, they got awarded for sidewalks and things like that out there. So,
The other thing on funding, I can just say generally, our general fund doesn't have a lot of wiggle room, if any, this fiscal year, this coming up fiscal year.
But is it something we could work for to the future?
it sure is. I could give you a good example, Joan. And I'm gonna. Well, I don't know, you want me to say this? Well, make it so. The golf course, for example, gets subsidized every year for the last few years to help pay their debt. The reasoning being that the debt that was taken out for whatever that item was a general obligation debt. So the city as an entity is on the hook for it no matter what. So when the golf course was struggling financially to make its budget, the general fund had to provide a subsidy to make sure we could pay the debt service. The debts that parking has are not the same kind. They're only backed by parking's fair faith and good credit.
Oh, so there, I see.
But there's nothing saying that the general fund couldn't also contribute to help subsidize the debt parking.
I guess because I think about the condition of our parking structures. And I mean, if they want them to stay standing or be maintenance, keep up with our maintenance, that should be important to the city.
Well,
So what you're competing against is
I know,
police department, fire,
on the golf course.
and golf course.
So and just to make it, the golf course is what they call an enterprise fund, meaning it's just like the parking fund. It's supposed to sustain itself. It's like a business.
Right, I worked for Cooney and they were, County.
So the other option is the TIF.
Right, but
Which-
that would be a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Although, can we ask Tip to be in on this? It's downtown money for the downtown district. Can we ask that we have a 20%, 10% every year? Can we get a set funding?
I think you gotta apply every year to everybody else.
Well, I'm just wondering if can we change that though? Can we say, okay, can you take, a chunk of change and say that this is always gonna go back to parking, because parking is central to the downtown district. And then they just, what they do is they make this pot a little smaller for projects, but it gives us a base. And we use that just for repairs or.
Maybe it's possible because there is there is a certain amount of TIF that goes towards low income housing. I think 6% or something.
Yeah,
So if it would just go toward keeping the weeds down for parking structures.
Here's my thought on the TIF is that it may disappear. It's becoming unpopular.
Then really.
So it's
People
parking,
in
but we're
town,
not-
yeah.
Way more
I
than
could be
that.
dead wrong. I could be dead wrong. It could be here for the full 10 years that it's. I think it goes for 10 years,
Oh.
yeah. But the other thing we heard is that you can't use it for landscaping, but
the sidewalks.
it's just not true, because if you look at the projects that have been awarded, there are several of them, including one that was put in by PID that was exclusively landscape.
I think it's stuff that what is our base thing we need to make sure we always cover every year? Is it, is it personnel? Is it structures? Is it sidewalks? Landscaping? What is that thing? And then to say, we need help. We need a good 50,000, 100,000 every year.
Well, here's the way, I'm sure. Here's the way, I went through these structures things that this consultant did, and the $7 million you're talking about, in deferred maintenance, that's over 10 years, right? Okay. Well, when you say over 10 years, that doesn't sound bad, except when you look at these spreadsheets, all the money spent in the first 3 years, and we're already past 2 of them.
Right.
So what's happening is, if you read this closely, it's talking about, it says, well, we took chloride tests and the chloride ions have saturated the concrete down 2 inches, which is what happens is when it hits the rebar, the reinforcing, which is probably about 2 inches down, it starts to expand and break the concrete. So the only thing you can do now, because the damage is already done, is keep the water out. But every year that you don't do these things, you're increasing, and not just by, the numbers don't just move,
The costs increase.
the costs go up significantly because it wasn't maintained. You're getting greater damage. So the city has to decide if what they're doing now is shortening the life of the structures significantly. And when something in the structure hits the unsafe level, which I don't know where that is, but there's already stuff I read in here about raising railings and bollards, and it's not far to a point where something's going to have to be fixed.
Or it's cheaper to demo it.
Or it's cheaper to demo it. And I don't know what new structure costs, $30 million or more.
What was 15's total debt service? Like 490 a year. Right, but what was the total cost of?
Like 7 million.
Yeah. So I'm sure it's probably double.
Yeah. So, but the other problem with this is that just includes the structures. That doesn't include all the parking lots. I mean, how long does asphalt last? About 25 years, and then loses its flexibility and it starts.
I mean, you can make things last 30 plus years with regular maintenance, but they used to do a seal coat about every 7-10 years, which is about the industry standard. But like lot behind behind the Union. That's, that's, has a lot of alligator cracking. And so that's not just a chip seal, that's gonna have to cut those alligator cracking out, recompact that subsurface and put new asphalt in before you seal that up. One of the, I'm gonna throw out another option. Is there's, a way to generate kind of one-time funding, but at least to, kickstart the engine is you can sell some of the underperforming lots. Let people do,
Sell them.
yeah, let people do what they want, build a hotel or condos or whatever, but because we do have a handful of lots that are, within that. Are they premium lots? I think a couple of them are,
So what are they? Can you?
like the lot 15, right across from the Great Northern Hotel. That one's all the way
Where
up.
Powell is there, where the school is.
No, that behind, over next to the garage.
But if you go through the stop signs at the intersection there by the past path. Okay. And keep going north.
The one right behind north of the State Fund.
Okay.
You sell that one, that's in a pretty good location for downtown. With the Great Northern by for parking, I don't know, with the State Fund, I don't know. But it's one of those things that would reduce liability. We wouldn't see the revenue from it, but I think there's 80 spots in that lot. We have, on average, like 40 permits sold in that lot at any time.
Is it close enough that the hotel would use it for overflow for conferences?
They have to because they don't have enough parking.
Right, but and I talked to the Great Northern guy and the hotel pays for some of their parking. They pay project management, Great Northern.
Yeah, where that is, I don't know.
It's in their main lot right there by the carousel to the, that lot where they.
So what other ones?
What's lot 16? That's on the other side.
That's way up,
But
like just before you get to Lindale.
it's on the other side of the federal courthouse on the north side.
Good. So lot 15 and 16.
Yeah, 16 is.
Let me see.
Oh, yeah, big bush, so.
Well, they're building all those big lawyers. I mean,
Lot 16, I think is permit only.
where is it? 15. Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you drive up Last Chance towards Lindale, it's, just before you get to Lindale there, down there.
That's sort of a weird.
It's on the outskirts for sure.
Yeah, isn't Stockman Bank or somebody gonna?
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna build a parking garage there.
Are they really?
Yeah. So this data is a little dated, but I'll give you an idea. So the Union Market, has 2 spaces available out of 16. And this is where you kind of get, the lot 3 behind Benny's. It's technically oversold. Lot 4 cruising to 6, which is the one behind the Union, has 7 permits available, which
Lot 4 is over by Tom Jackson.
Oh yeah, sorry, lot 4. That has only 7 available units or spaces, but you would never know it driving past it.
Yeah.
Lot 5 at the chamber. So the chamber is one that we need to discuss with this
Kelly.
group.
Kelly gave me a note and she will try to stop by today.
Okay.
So that, you need to change that lot 4 title, cause it's not cruising 6, it's cruising, Lawrence, I guess.
Jackson.
No, it's
Is that the one?
it's 6. It's the edge of 6 between 6 and Broadway.
Right, okay.
That's right.
Yeah, that one.
So the chamber right now,
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
we're not enforcing that
Yeah.
because that used to be where we were at. But we have to start because there's maintenance that has to go on it. So what we're proposing right now is It's already signed on the outer perimeter of that lot as permit only. And then up by the building, 1 hour parking or 2 hour parking, whatever. And those big commercial ones, I don't know if anybody ever uses those, but we could restripe those to maybe where they're regular car parking.
I
So
wouldn't,
it says RV parking.
I wouldn't, it's only RV bus parking downtown.
This is what Kelly says. I'd like our parking lot to stay the same. It's permitted on one side, 2 hour on the other, and free in the middle. The free is really nice for visitors trying to find their way. Once they get going, they almost always move to a paid lot. It's a nice feature for a visitor center. Other than that, I don't have any needs for parking. We're committed to supporting whatever works best for everybody.
The center, they wouldn't move to any other parking that we have because we don't have commercial.
Right,
Parking.
Yeah.
but people park in there. I mean,
Well,
there
the key
are
is,
RV.
here's the key, if a bus. When I used to own the restaurant on the Pita Pit. If a school bus came down, that's the only place they could park,
No, I think it's, yeah. I mean, otherwise you watch them like,
or an
our
RV.
bus getting into the double tree is always challenging.
You know, the thing
It's
is,
back in.
we ought to charge for that. We ought to have an RV space.
Well, the question is, are we a visitor, is that where our visitor center is? In which case, the bus probably is not gonna stay there very long. It's gonna let the kids out and they're gonna go move somewhere else,
But I mean, an RV coming downtown, that's the only place they can park.
right?
RVs downtown.
So I mean,
That's.
Yeah, well,
I think it's more likely to have the team stop for dinner
yeah,
and let them out.
so you look at lot 10, we have 54 permits sold there out of 50. You would never know that driving by there,
no, looks empty.
That's one,
behind Union.
Oh,
or
Burger's.
Burger's.
Yeah.
Front Street, lot 15. You see there's 33 permits available.
So,
And you go by there and you don't ever see 40 cars parked there.
street. Well, I think what we need to look at is looking at this, yeah, selling would be an option. But I think we have to look at a bigger picture, before we sell off all our property and then wonder why we have no place to park or build a business, or we have.
Well, I'm not saying that.
I know, I'm just saying in the bigger picture. It would catch up with us. You can only sell them so many times before you get yourself.
The zoning's changed downtown where there's no parking required for new business to come in, so.
Yeah,
That'll be interesting. Well, we could also take this and maybe we look back and we take some of those lots and we say. And we put some employee parking in there,
Here's-
we sell permits.
I'm interested to know what's gonna happen when that zoning starts to take effect, because essentially you can build a new building and you don't need one. But, for instance, in front of the IR building, the brewery, when they put apartments in there,
They're going to.
yeah, they're gonna put apartments in there.
where in their parking lot?
Just believe it or not, to the, between the Sixth and the building. It doesn't look like there's room there, but they're gonna build apartments there.
Yeah, that upper piece of that.
Yeah. So those people are gonna be shoved into the adjacent lots, I assume, unless they build parking, but where are you gonna put parking? There's no room up there unless you put it underneath.
And that's expensive.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is really expensive. So my guess is they're gonna shove those people into permit parking, and these lots are gonna start to get denser and denser as you go.
But we're already getting pushback from residents that live downtown that parking should be free.
Well, that's never gonna happen.
Well, it should be free for them as a resident. They
Yeah.
think that I live downtown, I should get to park. for
They're
free.
landowners.
Well, like me, no.
So it's one of those things that if you increase the number of infill downtown, the demand on parking is gonna go up, yes.
Yeah.
But I think what you're gonna see is as the population ages and the people that are in there now. Are going to be moving somewhere else, and then you're gonna have this whole group of people coming in who are millennials, whatever, like, of course I have to pay for parking, of course I have to move my car. It's part of the whole city mentality kind of thing. They're not the ones complaining about paying parking. It's just part of their expenses.
Well. Yeah, I think
there's no way. There's no way we're gonna get away with going another year without raising the rates.
Well, yeah, for this year, I mean, Chris will go over this in our regular meeting. But this year we got rid of the Jackson payment, which was 85,000. That got put back into the budget as capital projects for the most part. And we're still negative, we're still red.
Well,
Well, if they're doing no parking, could we do something with, work with it, that if you're gonna build downtown, you know, there's a chunk that you have to help pay for some of those lots.
There's no requirements for
I
that.
know, I'm just saying, what if there's a proposal like, okay, you're coming down, you're gonna build a whole bunch of new parking, I mean, a whole bunch of new buildings. And use the existing parking that's there. And you're gonna get nailed for the BID tax, but is there like a first year or two that you have to? I know there isn't, but could we?
I don't think so, because the way that it was proposed, that land use plan and the land, and Lupa. That was given was to rescind a lot of those restrictions and to promote building. Well, what they forgot was. The building still needs parking regardless of what you're building. And to push that out onto the public right of way is gonna hinder the availability of parking depending on.
I think the land use plan was designed with expanding into the rural areas, not redeveloping the already urbanized areas. They, you know, in urbanized areas, they just assume you're gonna come in and knock down an old building and build a new one, and whatever parking existed before will still satisfy you.
So,
The other one on that, excuse me, Joe,
Go
was
ahead.
the additional dwelling units, the ADUs. Part of the legislation is there's no requirement for off-street parking for those ADUs. So granted, you're gonna have your regular household, you're gonna have your ADU back there, you know, one or two people. They don't have to supply them parking, they get to park out on the street, so even our residential areas,
Anywhere in the city?
anywhere in the city.
What about the county? They don't have.
I think ADUs were statewide, but it's just one of those things. We have neighborhoods right now that struggle for parking. And potentially could put an ADU up, you know, here or there, and that's just gonna push more people, and then that's gonna. So it's an interesting conundrum to try to talk about, because we don't know what's gonna happen, but we do have an idea that adding additional cars out onto the street are going to limit the availability of parking.
well,
But we also are assuming that people want to be, I mean, one of the challenges has been that some people wanted to be downtown, but they're light manufacturing or whatever, they couldn't because it wasn't zoned for that. So then they end up out in the Tules. They're not helping our base.
yeah. You know, when that Blue Cross building, Blue Cross was in town, that was like a parking nightmare, because I was working in that Burlington building right next to there. And those people were out moving their car every 5 minutes, and people were moving their cars around them, and that was just a nightmare. I mean. It was.
Well, I think you start looking at parking rides and you start looking at, well, what's this, you know, company gonna do for their employees?
Yeah, but I don't know what happened when the city was talking about selling parks years ago. It failed. Remember, they were trying to raise revenue by selling small
Chunks off, yeah.
chunks off. Yeah, I don't think that ever happened, did it?
A couple pieces went, but
on,
not many.
One behind Broadway, on Broadway.
well, there's one on. What is that? Street which was a little parking.
Yeah, there's a little triangle.
Show there,
Yeah.
somewhere, or the old show there, somewhere in there. So
Yeah,
there's a building there.
And then, you know, they sold the quote unquote old bus drop off.
oh,
And
yeah,
that's
where Sealing building, yeah. Yeah, well, I just don't know that, I don't. Parking lot 15.
I think what we need to do is we need to max these out better. We need to go to people that say, okay, we got 33 spots in lot 15. Who can use it?
So, but
Yeah.
remember, it's also pay to park.
Right,
So if you sell 100% of the spots to permit holders, you leave nowhere for anybody that wants to park in a lot hourly. Which if that's, if that's what you wanna set as the priority, then if you wanna pay, if you wanna park hourly, you're parking on the street. Lots and garages are for permit holders.
or it's
That could
hit and
be-
miss, I mean, if you look at the library, it has what, 12 spots? 30,000 users a month, and they seem to manage to, use the neighborhood ones without too much pressure. People are either walking into the building, they're parking further away.
But what we're saying is, so you oversell, just say you make like Jack's permit on. If you're a permit holder, that you are supposed to have a parking spot, but yet we allow whoever to come in and public park there. That's where we get, if you have a permit for a certain space or certain lot, you're expecting to have a spot there.
Right, but we also have to assume that we have to take some risk, and then we have to be responsible back, and, someone comes back and says, look, 10 of my employees can't find parking every day, then we, address something back or take out some.
Which we have.
Right.
So,
But I'm
like
saying-
in Sixth Avenue, for example, we set the limit originally at whatever it was, 300 permits or 300 something permits out of the 400 spots.
Yeah.
And we kept hearing, looks empty, and we had demand for permits.
Yeah.
So we kept selling and kept selling. Now, I mean, we're pretty close to.
We're 409
Yeah.
over.
Right, I mean, that's you doing the right thing, you're looking at your resource, and, the people using that garage are probably in those, we have the higher density employees in that corner. You look somewhere else, like obviously behind Bert and Ernie's. Where is anyone working from that spot that,
Well, you look at the problem with six is interesting because we are 100% sold out.
Yeah.
But still half the top deck is empty. And if you drive through there at any one time, the second deck is empty. And it's like, okay, so do we go another 5%? And what, we have to keep playing that.
yeah, but what's the results gonna be like, hey, I came downtown, I went pay to park, I got a permit, and I got parking. That's the perception, you're gonna go like, there's parking down there, because you raised it 5%, and you're doing the juggle,
That's
but.
permit parking.
So the tough, I'll be honest with you, the tough part for us about this, let's see how it goes approach.
Mhm.
You gotta remember, we're a local government entity. People expect us to have rules. So we have to set the policy at something.
Well, I think
And
you
it
do.
makes it real hard for staff to be like, well, you said the policy is we're gonna sell 80% of the spots as permits. But then every time we turn around, you're like, well, let's make it 82, let's make it.
Well, you can make a rule of that, you can try it for the first year or season, and then you could move it up in increments of 5% and just keep.
Well, that's my point. I think we need a policy.
Yeah,
A blanket level
Yeah.
policy, and we can adjust the policy from time to time.
right,
But we can't really do this, well, lot 15, we could afford to go 85, but lot 4, we maybe only wanna do 75. That's the part I'm talking about, that it gets tough for staff if we have that kind of inconsistency. Because then it's hard for them to answer those questions, people are like, well, how many are available here? Like, well, there could be 4, there might be 5.
right, we also have to respond to some things, like if we're riding around and we're seeing empty lots.
Mhm.
Or people complaining about things, let's find out how to fill those lots differently.
Well, they only complain about 6.
Okay, and then what about and what if, let's say, what happens if someone like buys the US Bank building? Or buys another big building or builds something like, let's say Stockman's is going to build a big office and not do a garage. Cause they don't have to, it sounds like. And what does that do to that area? I mean, so.
They didn't have to, but they still did. We could have sold them parking that was close by and they could have saved their money on the parking garage,
And have a nice looking.
but they chose to do both. And
They print their own money, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's all about big fish.
So I'm still trying to get to so our priority is, as a committee, is to make, I think, to look at all of our availability for parking, make the best decisions on how that could be best used. Right? I mean, we talk about this over and over because it is an issue and it isn't solved. So it's something we're gonna work on for the rest of the. Till
Well-
people come probably, right? So I'm just trying to get
Yeah.
some of our priorities.
When I look at the survey, it looks like there's plenty of parking downtown right now.
Right,
So what we're basically trying to do at the moment,
so who's actually complaining about availability?
I don't think anybody's
No, nobody's complaining about the
availability.
So,
They're complaining that they have to pay for parking.
right, so. No one's complaining about availability, they're complaining, so that's a issue that's not something we. Except for maybe the residents. From the,
Well, I think what we're doing is we're saying we have resources that need to be maintained and we don't have enough resources to maintain them.
right,
So it's like, if we don't maintain them in a fashion, we're gonna lose them altogether and they're gonna get worse every year if we don't put the Band-Aids on sooner than later. What we're proposing is to say, let's make this, look, to me, it's like, let's make them more, if we put more permit ones in there, we have a couple of rules, but we get people to use them, and that's more revenue. Because we got more permits going on in there, and we look at some places and we look at the Fifth Street block, the Fifth Avenue parking lot. And go, well, who would park down there? Who would use that area? And maybe it becomes an employee lot more. And we at least get some money back. The project management, when I talked to Robert at Project Management, he said their biggest issue is employees parking in their lots. And so then they tell them all the time, knock it off, don't do it. And they gave everyone warnings in January, and now they're just starting, they're gonna ticket them, they're $25 a ticket.
so this is in the Great North.
It's a Great Northern, they go out every 3.5 hours and take a cruise, and if they shift around, it starts seeing one employee start to show up here for a while, and then they move over here, that they know whose cars are who, they're kind of following up on those, but.
Yeah.
So there's an opportunity right there, he
The
says.
goal is to, I'm sorry.
Well, he's got a high density usage down the Great Northern. He's got people who are being their DA Davis and people that are in there today. There's nighttime use, there's movie use. Then there's the hotel, which I think is really interesting. Is so they got conference and the hotel's buying parking spots in their lot. I don't know how many they're buying. I haven't got that information yet, but there's an opportunity to go down to 5th Street, 15th Street and go, hey, hotel and people or servers, let's buy permits. Let's buy employee permits, put them in that lot that, someone from the courthouse probably is not gonna be in that lot.
Well, I can talk to Lonnie about that.
Yeah.
Say, hey, there's a lot, you realize there's a lot of.
Or we also have the Getchell garage. I mean, you look at the Getchell garage and it's fairly empty, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is there, do we make it a special thing and say, hey, yeah, the garage is cheaper, and it's like, well, 6th Street garage is more. Like, well, yeah, but 6th Street is right in the middle of something, and Getchell, you're gonna have to walk it, and then we hit the residents, maybe that helps your residential problem, that we have a permit that is,
Yeah.
fill some of those lots up.
I think the conversation here is income.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's kind of the top level thing right now, is income. How much did you put in for on the tip?
So we haven't got a response back to see if they're not going to require a match.
But even if they did.
But if they did, we could only match what we have in our capital, which is $100,000.
What about in-kind services? I mean, you haven't got a match yet. I mean, you haven't got an answer back yet, but.
Well, we don't have money, we haven't got an answer on the match. But if we put in for it now and got it, we only have whatever's left from our budget this year. Cause our fiscal year 27 budget hasn't been approved yet, which is where we have the 100K.
So to get TIF money, they're saying that they want to match.
I don't know, the 5% didn't get a match.
Preliminary answer we got was that they're not favorable on waiving the match.
All right, well,
So didn't the Civic Center get tip for air conditioning?
They did, so, well, my understanding, but I can't see it because I haven't added those things on the map yet. They haven't added them on the website.
Okay, I was wondering what their.
Yeah,
Oh,
but the fact is, like, the Placer Center did not get a match when they did their grant. There's also in-kind services. How much did you put into maintenance last year? I think. Well, it'll get graded.
So, we want to make the most of our available parking spaces and raise the fund, raise the cost at that. TIF's a possibility, and then just to plain increase the parking from $1.25 to $1.50 to.
Well, right now, it's $1, so we're talking about going to $1.25, but Great
That hasn't been
Falls,
approved, right?
no, it
$1.25.
hasn't been.
Chris is
approved.
gonna get us some numbers, you know, what do we gain if we? How much do we make for?
It'll be in our regular piece of the meeting here next, but hang on just once.
But I think in general, I mean, it's like,
Yeah, the last time we talked about it, every quarter was about $50,000.
okay,
Okay,
So that's,
so I have every quarter's $50,000. Well, one thing is, we don't know what the money's gonna be spent on.
Lindsay got kicked off there for a minute, so
Oh,
we'll go back on her and this.
Okay, so we don't know what the money's gonna be spent on yet, cause we know you got these. Deferred maintenance, but it would probably be helpful going to the commission saying, you know, here's what we need to do. We have the immediate repairs, here's what we've taken care of, and here's what we haven't. And that's just on the structures, that doesn't include the lots. I had a couple other things. One was if you could get money for, say, landscaping, you could, and I've talked to the BID about this, you could give the money to the BID in exchange for a seasonal employee to work on your landscaping, which would be a whole lot cheaper than hiring an FTE. Because the BID, right now, the city gives the BID $8,000 for some of the garbage services that we do. We can't just provide, it's a duplication of services if we just provide a service, but if the BID got money for landscaping, they could hire a seasonal employee, which would be considerably cheaper than what probably the city could hire them for. That's one idea. The other thing is, so if you got TIF money, that would be one idea, work on landscaping for parking. The other thing is, education for downtown parking. The BID is willing to do that. Great Falls has like a trifold pamphlet, which is pretty handy. You can look it up. We're pretty good at that at the BID. Abigail put one together for the museum. And the museum one refers to, it links you to parking downtown. But it is something that the BID could do, put together a trifold pamphlet, which would probably be most useful for businesses.
So the chamber is going to redo the maps that we couldn't get the other graphic company to do, and then they're gonna print them.
Okay, and have you talked to them about that?
Yeah,
The trifold is a separate.
I talked to Callie
Oh,
about the maps. She said
they would do them. Okay.
and again, I think the issue is, you know, you can print all the brochures you want, but those business people have to understand them.
You
Yeah,
have to use them.
yeah,
And you're gonna give someone a stack, and I can tell you, they're gonna sit there and no one's gonna, it's a waste of money.
you gotta explain to them what they
Right,
want.
and so, is that just finding key spots? And where our issues is that the visitors, need to find parking, that's easy, they go to the visitor center, those guys tell them where to go and park.
I don't,
And so it's,
I don't think the visitors are.
I don't think there's either, so I mean, I think the issue is the perception that there is no parking, and why should I have to be in a spot and have to pay for something? I think what our whole thing is, we gotta pay for stuff. The reality is, we're in a downtown district, we have resources that need trouble, and I think we go to the commissioners and say, okay, we have our little, whatever that is, marketing analysis and says, if we take care of the garages now, it's gonna cost us this much. If we take care of the garage next year, it's gonna cost us this much, and then we wait out 4 years, it's gonna be twice as much.
No, and we know that.
Right, I know, but
We
this,
have
the
the
commission,
data.
but going to the commissioners and saying, what we would like is a chunk of something or a priority to make it work, and then we say to the asphalt ones, and I'm guessing that they don't deteriorate as quickly. And it's not, if you lose a lot with asphalt, if you don't fix it for 2 years versus 10 years,
Gravel.
right, but it's not as expensive. I mean, if you don't treat a garage, you have to do a whole new structure. You don't treat an asphalt lot, it's not as expensive as, when you wanna keep maintaining them.
Well, once that asphalt starts to go,
I know, I'm just saying though,
Yeah.
but to put in a new asphalt is way cheaper than putting in a new 6th Street garage because we can seal it,
yeah,
is what I'm saying. It's like, let's look at our priorities of, we need to make sure we save those garages and things that are expensive.
So that's why, I mean, is this in relation to asking for that 50 cents rate
Yes.
parking?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it is. Maybe we change our tune a little bit and say, this is why, and the promotion from BID is, you love to, you like to be downtown and downtown has to be maintained.
yeah, when, Last of the Moon came in here and they said, people aren't coming downtown because parking costs $1.
Right.
And you look at their shop and there's free parking everywhere around there.
Yeah.
There's 2-hour parking
The people
everywhere.
shopping there aren't complaining about money either.
No, they aren't.
I think again, what it is we have to make it look easy. Like, what happened to the 6th Street, not the 6th Street, the Cruise, angle parking on Cruise from Broadway towards Rocky Mountain? What happened to that project? They were gonna put,
We need money to redo the stripe. We have to basically chip seal it or fog seal it, and then we have to have money to stripe it back.
so what is that, like? How much money, something like that? I guess.
30,000.
So then, what do we take a few of those, I could see us taking things like, okay, our main base is, I'm guessing is the garages, right? That's our biggest concern, our biggest expense. So in order to maintain these, we need more income. One of the ways to get more income, we take 20,000 and we strike Cruise and we push the employees up in there by using parking permits. We push them, our lasso, we get them parking on that lot and paying for that street. Right now, we're not, what is it, like 10 spots on that street?
On Cruise?
It's on Cruise up toward the
So-
senior center.
I think
Oh, I
we can, I think we can agree, we're gonna need more funding, we're gonna have to raise parking rates, and we're gonna have to decide.
We have to have a reason why we're raising them.
I think it's the same reason that
Yeah.
Great Falls said.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean, we can make Great Falls look pretty, well, we can say, well, Great Falls raised from $1 to $1.50 per hour, because they're a $600,000 hole. Well, we're several million in the hole.
But they're gonna say that's our fault, we're not managing it, or
no,
someone didn't manage it, or.
Well, you're not gonna catch up.
No.
I mean, according to this, and not only that. I don't think it's the hourly people that are worried about rates. I mean, I think that's kind of what we heard in here.
Well, how much is the rate set versus permits? I mean, isn't rates like 20%? Of pay to park is 20% of the revenue versus permits.
About, yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, is it worth? Figuring out how to get more people to buy more permits from businesses?
well, it would be nice if,
But I mean, that's education. I mean, it's like, I pay for
Yeah.
permits for my employees.
yeah,
It was just a cost of living, it was a cost of business. I had older people. I wanted them safe. I wanted them to park well. And I didn't want them having to go out and plug the meter every 2 hours.
so. The other thing about, maintenance,
everything else is, tell me again how many staff you have?
Yeah, there are two dedicated maintenance folks. 3 PCOs. And we have a supervisor that is over the PCOs and the maintenance guys.
So the maintenance guys just strictly do maintenance?
That's it.
Well, Great Falls, they're managing.
And
City's
what are
not
they,
managing anymore.
what kind of maintenance do they do? I mean,
In the mornings, they do the run around and do initial cleanup,
uh,
which typically during the summer entails more than just trash. It's all the leftovers from the unhoused folks that are sleeping in their stairwells and defecating and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So they're doing that cleanup. Wintertime, they're making sure that things they plow the top decks, sand. And then when they get through with their normal day-to-day maintenance, then they have time to start working on like project maintenance, like we had them do the top deck of Jackson. Doing that sealing of that.
Yeah.
Joints. And then, they do, in the summertime, they try to keep up with the weeding and the trimming and everything. But typically, because of the time that we have them come in so that the garage is presentable for the normal public at basically 8 o'clock. One guy's coming in at 5 and working his 8-hour shift. And then the other guy comes in a little bit later, so he works until, that 5 to 6 shift. And so we have that covered. So there's only a minor overlap there. But when the two are at the garage at the same time. Now the supervisor does step in and help them on projects. But that also depends on how we're staffed with PCOs. If we're down staffing with PCOs, we might have the PCO sitting at the front desk, taking questions and taking payments. And he's out actually writing the tickets, or, it's the needs of the job basically from day to day for him.
okay, and are the PCOs keeping up? Because,
Sure.
one of them sick, or, how are
So
they
right now,
keeping up?
we're short an admin. And short we hired a PCO, but he's been out sick the last couple of days. Long and short of it is, when we came up here, we took over the information desk. So one of the PCOs sits at the information desk. And the other 2 are out patrolling. So if we only have 2, then that's 1 out patrolling. But when our last admin left, we changed that to where the admin's position will be sitting at that information desk. And then all 3 PCOs will be out. And then if somebody's sick, if like the admin's sick, then a PCO will take over that.
So there's 3 PCOs?
And do we need 3?
Two.
Do you
2
need,
maintenance.
do you need
Yeah.
3 PCOs to really cover it, or is that?
We do, because when one's sick or we have an empty.
Okay. All right, and
And there's one supervisor, which is not one of the 3, it's an addition.
okay, and who has vehicles? Do they all with one vehicle?
Well,
One vehicle for
There's
the
one
3?
PCO view.
Okay,
The rest are walking.
So what's Great Falls doing? Because they have a independent company ticketing, right? And then who's getting the revenue from that?
Well, there's a percentage that goes to the company, and then there's a percentage that goes back to the city, is what I think when Elroy told us about that.
I mean, not that I'm after your jobs or anything, but is that a more efficient way to
I can tell you it's more expensive,
go
right?
the other way?
They gotta make profit,
Yeah,
right? I mean, the same with any, we have that conversation with all aspects of some operations, but
yeah.
it's more expensive than you need it.
We have a really good parking lot at the golf course.
okay, so,
We could put Tater Park up at the Capitol too.
You could.
So we're still down a administrator
Yes.
and that was just vacancies, that's just savings, right? That administrator salary just went back into the budget.
For the time being.
For the time being,
I'm hoping it's not vacant very long, so.
You're thinking of rehiring that?
Yeah, we're already in the process of.
Oh. And how much is that gonna take? That's
It's already budgeted.
okay, that's in budget right now. Okay,
A year or so ago, you got rid of one permanently though, right?
or this is what they're talking about hiring back, right?
No.
No.
Oh, you're talking about the admin.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not.
They hired
Oh,
more, moved on.
Okay,
That was Kara,
okay.
so she just left, so backfilling her position.
Oh, okay, all right.
And there's enough work for everybody.
Well, there's too much work for me.
I was asking if they're not.
Generally, yes. I mean, there's lulls and there's busy times,
Right.
like anything.
I mean, the PCOs are out walking or driving. The front desk, I could say, is probably the biggest of all that we have, even because Roy had mentioned that their average deposit from the front desk is like $150 a day.
From Berkey?
That's people coming to the window to pay for something, which is,
Well, someone else, then we shouldn't be 100% supporting that salaries. They also should, another department should help support that.
so there's, we looked at kind of restructuring the admin position a little bit when we hired it. So right now, that position was not sitting at the window, right? They were in the back office, doing back office. We think that there's capacity that admin position can be the person that sits at the window all the time and still get all of their administrative duties done.
Which could put a PCO.
Which could have the PCOs, all of them out on the street every day.
And if they're,
But with that said, there is a small stipend that is supposed to come for us managing the information desk aspect. It's $20,000. So that is in this coming budget. It's in the budget line for revenue. And we could collect it this year. We just need to send the invoice. But there is, so there's $20,000 a year that comes from charges collected by the phone distribution, charges by IT. But that's it. That's the support we get for managing the main information window.
Okay,
but if you have 3 PCOs on a daily basis, is the perception going to be that you're everywhere giving tickets and you can barely take a breath and you get a ticket?
Could be.
but there's only one vehicle, right?
Well, they're walking
Well,
though.
they're still walking. They're
Yeah.
still-
I mean, I was thinking, we don't also want to be the people that raise the money so that we could get more PCOs on the ground, so we could ticket you. I mean, I heard a comment from someone from the Atlas building saying, we get our tickets at like 8:05 because the PCOs are waiting for
Yeah.
ding.
Well, I would like the Atlas building isn't being enforced right now, so I would take that with a grain of salt.
Right, I'm just saying that, that's, I'm just talking about perception.
Okay.
Well, but I think, they say they ticket from 8 to 5.
Yeah.
So you better be prepared to pay at 8:00.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can't give the appearance that we're just kind of, maybe you get a ticket, maybe you don't, if you time it right, maybe you get it. I mean, I think if we're gonna ticket people, you start at 8 and you stop at 5, and any car that's not paid, they get a ticket.
I talked to someone in the plaster and he's like, yeah, I said, about parking, a lot. I couldn't afford to be here if I had to pay for parking. I said, well, did someone pay for your parking? No, he works out of the district, so he leaves at 8, he comes back at 5. So he parks for free and lives in the plaster.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was, and so,
Well, that's,
yeah, that was him, make sure he's out of there by 8,
uh-huh.
It's incentive.
So I had one other question on this maintenance, and that is there a maintenance software that you're using? I mean, how are you keeping track of? There's this report, but. Is there any kind of maintenance software or anything, asset management?
Parking doesn't.
Okay,
We were gonna try to use the same software that we use for streets. The Cydian software. And we could, but you can't delineate the structures. You can't go vertical with that. You could have one big rectangle and you could just put a bunch of work orders in that rectangle, but you would have to have a very detailed way to identify that you were working on level 1B and you did this.
okay.
Because there's no way to differentiate the. Now, I think that there was something that we had looked at, but we didn't have the funding for it. That came through, not necessarily Passport, but a third party that they knew of for asset management, but. Passport has the same issue. We can't manage the levels of the garage, we can only manage the parking in there by the square, so. It just knows that there's X amount of permits and these permits are valid, and when we drive through. They scan them and it either has rights to park there by a permit or they paid to park and have a paid session. So we can't delineate that this many cars was on, this many cars were parked on level 2 with our software.
I see. Okay. All right, so if we're gonna write down goals for next fiscal year. I think one of them is, and I'm not sure the best way to write this. But it is to take care of the structured priorities for health and safety. And I don't know what that's gonna cost, but it's not gonna, there's not gonna be, I mean, I'm just looking at year one here for one structure. And looking at, you know, the immediate repairs they have here for the Jackson parking lot, which I don't think have been done. There's already about over $40,000 fees.
Well, the big one is the big cost on every garage is the ceiling of the decks.
Yeah. What are you using? That it says there's a
There's a couple different compounds out there.
yeah.
It's just, I mean, again, I think that's something our guys can do.
I'd say that seems like that'd be an annual or whatever it is.
It's not an annual, you seal it up, I can't remember, there's a cycle.
Like 5 to 7 years.
And, but
Would you tier them? So you wouldn't, do one,
Top is
You know,
top
this-
the
priority.
top
Right,
of
but
all
you-
of it is the priority.
would you do one, so you did all tops at the whole time? You did every top garage, or would you say this?
If we had,
this,
if
Here's
we had,
the action, this is the year for Ketchel, this is the year for.
ideally you wanna stagger them. So that your capital doesn't get hit every 5 to 7 years with a big ding.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now, for how long it's been since the last ceiling. And if we weren't able to identify the funding, yeah, I would say we would go and do all the decks that are exposed to weather the majority of the time. If we had the money to do it, we would get those sealed. And then we would work on, 6 is the oldest, so then we work on those other decks below there to seal those up, and then we maybe move over to Jackson the next year and then, do it that way, but the ones that are exposed to the elements are the pieces that you really need to get sealed up.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one priority, of course, is to raise parking rates next year. That's all. That's how we're, okay, so the way we're gonna fund this is we're gonna raise parking rates in July.
Which right now is scheduled to be 1.25, but it could be more.
Could be more. I think we just do it just like Great Falls did.
Yeah, I think,
So in the maintenance, like for sealing that thing, is that 2 guys in a spray truck, or is that a rollers, or?
I think some of the different products have different applications. But I would think you would probably do rollers.
Well, I'm thinking about, could you have volunteers do that? If you had someone to do that, that'd be a bigger mess.
I don't think we could just because of liability.
Okay, I'm just checking, because I think like, could you have downtown beautification day?
They,
And
they used to have, name of that organization.
Oh, the odd fellows.
Yeah, they used to get an organization come in and volunteer to paint the line with
Right,
all
they
the
paint the
lots,
line, yeah.
right? And that became a liability issue.
Okay.
A few years back from the city standpoint, so.
I think part of it too is, you talk about landscaping and different things, but, the property owners need to take some responsibility for some of that stuff too. And how do you make that work? And, like, I see tenants, not shoveling their walk because they're waiting for Parks to do it. Well, it's Sunday, Parks isn't gonna be out there on Sunday unless it's really deep. It's like, get the shovel, and I go, well, it was Parks, it is your business, get out there, and so, I mean, we need to figure out how to get people to embrace. This is a whole little microcosm. We have good garages because we put some money in it. We have customers because it's a nice place to go. We have landscaping because we got someone to help us, or,
Well, it's a domino effect.
yeah.
Well, you hope it is. That as you do things and make things nicer and. That are, keep going back to funding.
Well, okay, so the second priority is apply for this TIF grant. I'm still not certain where we are with this. We're waiting to see what we need for a match or what we can use for a match.
Just seeing if a match is going to be required,
Okay,
because if.
Can we not just put in within?
We could, but if we're required to do the match.
Yeah.
We're not getting a whole lot of money, right?
Yeah.
We're getting, right now, today, max, $75,000.
From you, or just from them?
Total, that would be our total, because we could put 35, maybe
Okay.
40 as match, and it's a 50% match with tip.
see, I think it ought to be, I mean, the hard part about it is it the match for what you're already doing? So can you use FTE and say, well, we've got 3 maintenance personnel.
I think we could. So I do think that there's a component to tip that allows you to, which is in kind, right? So
Yeah,
we could say that, yes, we have 30 grand in cash, plus we have, if we quantify how much our maintenance people cost in, let's say the project we think is gonna take us a month to do the project. That our maintenance people, that's, another $15,000 or $20,000 in kind. And so we could get, $50,000 from the tip with only putting out 30 in real money as match.
now, I'm just throwing this out there. If you hired a seasonal to work on the landscaping or parking lots. As a TIF grant, you say, well, we're gonna take $40,000, or I don't know how much it costs for seasonal. That'll be one person working all season. Clean up the landscaping. There's also other things in there that we were talking about, which is sidewalks, signage,
So
access.
in-kind match is not. The requirement is a cash match according to the TIF. According to community development, and it's a 50% match.
Okay, well, yeah. Here's the other thing. It seems to me if you're raising $50,000 for each quarter, you could raise $100,000 in the next fiscal cycle and present that as your match.
Or what if we go to TIF and say,
Well, it seems to me you can do that. I mean, that's.
or can we ask for a bigger amount and then say, for this year, and then, I would like to still see them, I'm thinking about, okay, I have a property owner downtown, they're spending a lot of money on taxes. What do the property owners really wanna see? Do they wanna see, that, Great Northern is always getting all the work and no one else gets it? Or is there something that we can, that the owners in general would say, oh, my tax money, 20% of it is going towards the sidewalks, towards the garages, towards the whatever.
and would they be more likely to support that?
Here's the thing with TIF. It's not raising anybody's taxes downtown, it's raising everybody's taxes around the city. They don't really realize it.
I'm gonna jump in real quick too on TIF funding, as far as I'm understanding with it too. We need to ask for more than what you actually, I mean, as much as you can feasibly justify, because they'll only award half of what you asked for.
That's correct. That the funding has to be 100% match. So I mean,
Right,
it's like, if you match $100,000, your total project would be $200,000.
right.
And the issue is, we only have $35,000 cash in this budget, and what they're proposing is we wait for the next budget because we'll have more cash flow, right?
Well, no, we just say, you don't have to,
You don't have to,
you don't have to give them the money, you just have to show
okay,
that that's your match.
is there a timeline of like,
Well, you're not gonna do the project till the next biennium anyway.
okay,
So you say, well, here's what we're gonna spend.
okay,
And they're not even gonna look at it, they're just gonna say, okay, all you really need is an estimate of what it's gonna cost, or a bid of what it's gonna cost. And say that where you're gonna get half the money. So,
so we could put it in now, with that.
yeah,
So am I understanding that's a 50% match then, or?
yes, yeah,
It's
greater match?
It's a 50-50 split.
50-50 split.
So if you,
So you have to have 100,000
To get
to
on
put
it.
into your project, and they'll give you another 100,000.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's one of the things we need to do is get the TIF going.
Get the TIF grant in.
Because we also know that that's willy-nilly how they're choosing some of those people.
So I'll just, and I'll talk about this again when we get to the budget part, but. We could put it in and we could say that, yeah, we're gonna raise money in the next budget to do this project, and the project, we want. $300,000 of a project. To be able to try and address some of the major deferred maintenance. And so we're gonna put up 150 of our own money in the next budget cycle. So that you can approve our TIF application. The only way that we can afford to put up 150 in the next cycle of the budget. Is if a rate increase gets approved. That's it.
Yeah,
But again, that's our message. We're taking it, we're increasing the rates because what we're gonna get out of increasing those rates is money for more money. And that's a story, that's a good story.
but it should
Yeah, that
be,
feels very plausible.
the problem with the TIF is it's really supposed to bring up. What looks like it's in decline, which is constructive.
I think well,
Yeah, that's why I like the landscaping element of it, and also. The deteriorating sidewalk aprons and, that sort of thing. So. Those are some goals there. What are the other goals for next year that we're gonna tell the commission? I mean, the main thing is, the big thing I see is that, yeah, things are falling apart because we don't have any money, and there's gonna reach a point where we're just gonna have to flat out close stuff if we don't have.
Or demo, it's cheaper to demo
money.
than,
Yeah.
that demo than the fix.
So that's one goal. I think the other goal that we hear are priority from people who come in and speak is the communication, that you were talking about, the brochures and the, trying to educate people the importance of why we charge for parking and why we charge the amount and how to use the kiosks and I hear, is it Abigail?
Yeah,
Every day, every time she's in here, she's talking about how poor the communication is from, so I think that should be a plan.
I
So I'll
have,
keep working on that.
yeah, and I have the goal of the business improvement district. And one of the annual goals for the business improvement district is to promote parking education. That's a goal.
Well, then our goal is to work with them. to
Yes.
promote Parking.
So the business improvement district has, I think 12,000 followers on
Well, I think, you know,
social media.
Mhm.
you know, what'd be kind of fun is to have something where you had something like, got a problem? Give a call, and it's someone's cell phone. You know, you get just a couple retired people downtown that are hanging out all the time, it's like, got a problem? Give us a call, and then someone's like, you know, shows up. And do it for a week or two or something, that's something fun, and find out what, you know, dress them up in a, I don't know, parking or whatever parking person costume, or something where we just, you know, like, we're trying to find, you know, like, it's like, where's your spot on the map? And maybe just that whole thing is like, where's your spot? So Chambers gonna do,
Yeah,
you know, where do you wanna park?
she's working with a video production company,
Yeah,
and the idea is they're gonna train her to do these videos.
Abigail?
Yeah.
Mhm. So our, a priority is to keep that conversation going
Yeah.
and work with the BID and the.
and it's
chain
part of
partners.
customers, and the other part is educating businesses to stop saying there's any parking.
Right.
I mean, we need
Well,
to
they're not
educate,
Sure.
complaining about the cost or.
Well, we have
yeah.
we have the survey.
Well, we can ask the businesses, so if the Sixth Street garage went away, what would that do to your business? If it was condemned,
Well,
you know,
and you think about like the Montana Club, and they've got that open restaurant space there, and I mean, all those people are dependent on that garage.
well, exactly, and that's what we're saying to them, is like,
Yeah.
yeah, we'd all like not to have anything, but that's the cost of doing business, is that
But
downtown is dense.
I think the promotion, the BID has made it a priority to do promotion for parking.
Yeah.
We've already written a statement months ago supporting parking rate increase.
Right.
And, you know, once we decide to take that to the commission, then we will put it out there. And say the BID supports raising parking rates. It is supported by the majority of our board members, from what I can tell. And I think that's the key. It was a bit controversial just because we discussed it for months, just because of the businesses downtown. And it's usually just a few local businesses that are dead against parking rates.
Parking rates.
Yeah,
I think we as a committee have a responsibility to talk to them.
yeah.
I'm sure you guys can come up with a few names for us, and we can think of a few. I mean, I think it's about that education, and I think, I have a visual picture is like, you know, what does it take to maintain, you know, well, it's $50,000 or 20,000, what it is for a coating. That needs to be done every 5 years. We got 5 garages, you know, and you just kind of show, and now we need landscaping, and we have this, and if this goes away, then this costs more, or if we have more empty buildings, it costs us more if our buildings, our neighbors don't, if we don't have neighbors. It's
Yeah,
more expensive for us not to have neighbors.
yeah,
And then when you look at the parking spots, and you know, then you come up with your numbers, you have like, there's 400 empty parking, there's 400 free parking spots. Costs this much to maintain a spot. It's how much each spot's making. I mean,
there was one other thing I had written down here, a couple of them. One was, one of our goals is to update the parking maps, which we are already well into. We've separated them, which has been great. Because the hourly parking people really don't care about the permit parking people. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not interested. If you're coming here hourly, you wanna know where you can park.
well,
Yeah, they better didn't get it.
And if you were looking for a permit, that's what you wanna look at.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's a goal for the city to present to the city commission. The other thing is that I had written down was, I'm not really sure what improvements there are for I mean, we're pretty aware of what's going on with the structures. But as far as the parking lots, I don't know what
Those would be mostly seal and restriping.
seal and restriping.
So they'd be included with the,
It's a, yeah, maintenance item. You guys don't do striping?
No, I mean, so the idea was. Last year was to train the maintenance guys up on how to use our striping machines.
Yeah.
And so when something was redone, they would come in basically after hours with the lot closed and restripe it using that. Again, trying to use staff as much as possible.
Could we hire a seasonal employee that did striping for the summer? For a month or something, or? Is that what, some teacher or someone that does, some seasonal person with another job that,
Well, I think
Thing
there's
is-
so much involved in it. It's first you have to seal the lot.
right, yeah, I just wanted.
You have to clean the lot, seal the lot, and then there's the 1 day window for the striping.
One union window.
Yeah.
It's by the verb, make one more.
Okay,
So
What
a strictly
qualification-
seasonal employee costs about 25 to 30,000. Depends on what you pay.
how about an intern, like if you got a
So-
intern from the College of Botany or something, or landscaping, someone wants to go into landscaping.
So, I mean, funny enough, we just had this conversation internally with the city about what volunteer and internship opportunities do we have as a city? So, I mean, didn't have parking really in mind as far as maintenance activities go, but I mean, I offered to work with our HR office and set up like a citywide intern program where for the summer, somebody could come in and rotate throughout all the different departments for a week or two at a time and just learn different
Mhm.
things. I don't know that striping parking lots would be
I
one of
don't
those
either.
activities in that kind of a program, but
It could be, I mean, it's one of those things like you wanna become a city manager, you wanna work in a city.
I
So
think
this is
striping could be, for an intern, the liability would be very high. Working with those,
Well, those guys that are doing the crosswalks, they always have enough time to sit in the truck for a half hour, they can run out and do another lot while they're waiting.
that's a pretty short window.
those are street, those are street.
Yeah, I know that, I'm just saying, though, while they're sitting there and they're waiting for whatever to
Well, we,
cool down, they can say, run over and quickly stripe this lot. while you're waiting."
Okay, so the other thing I had was the city website, the parking website. If we could get that updated a little bit, Abigail just had a small,
we just did training on that too.
okay,
So Elroy and James, I think, both went through the website training on how to get in and change pages and all that kind of stuff. And so I think right now we're just waiting on IT to give them the right permissions to be able to do it. And then we can get back to keeping it up to date, making changes.
okay. All right, so.
What goals do you guys have? That way?
Goals.
Goals or what, I mean, yeah, I mean, what
Pay the
would,
bill, you know,
what?
pay the bills.
Okay,
Well, and.
well, that's a good one, pay the bill.
No, I mean.
I don't, but seriously, that's-
And how to raise enough to increase our revenues so that we can start doing some deferred maintenance, because it's not, it's just not like water off the duck's back for us. Oh, well, we don't have any money, we're not gonna be able to do anything in the garage. It's a piece of our infrastructure that if it's not maintained sooner than later, we're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
And that's part of our responsibility, is to try to find those ways, and unfortunately, parking is one of those. Kind of very contentious subject to bring up in certain. So, and I don't disagree with, I think, the couple that you guys have going here, the education and outreach piece is, I think, also a priority for us, right? We want to make sure that it's clear on how things work and how to use it. And then, the other one, how do we better leverage our existing resources to maintain the infrastructure that we have? Whether that's is our only option to raise rates in order to make more money to do the maintenance, or are there other things we can do, like
can we offer more permits in some of the areas that are not quite as full? You know, keeping in mind, how does that then affect the pay to park hourly? And then, so yeah, how do we better leverage our existing resources? Without necessarily a rate increase, but I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, a rate increase is just, I mean, it just.
I don't think we can get around it,
Yeah,
So if we jump from, we just skip the quarter, 50 cents would bring in an additional $100,000.
50.
$50,000 a year, right?
I thought
50
you said
cents
every,
would bring in 100.
right, they
just
said a
like, yeah.
quarter,
You
Was
get
50.
50,000 for the year.
Yes,
Yeah, so-
every quarter.
So 50 cents would get you
right,
100,000.
right.
it's pretty easy to, I think, I mean, it is for us, but it's pretty easy to justify.
Well, this is the other thing that's sitting around here is like, so we manage all the permit parking, we get people off the streets and people are like, I'm not going downtown, it's just no one's there. But all this parking is a ghost because we managed it so well.
Well, some mornings you go down and it does look like,
Yeah, there's
Those
some mornings that by the fire tower that I'm like,
yeah.
but, I mean,
They don't open till 10.
well, it's just that I've gone down there a couple times where there's 4 cars on the block of fire tower and I'm just like, you know,
Yeah,
did I step into a time warp because usually it's packed.
yeah. I
Well,
stopped
you
at
get a-
Gold Bar the other day to pick up a gift certificate at Outpost and my God, it was just packed. It was Friday night. It was just
Well,
bumper. I know, but it was just amazing. It was like, it was so fun to see people downtown running around and.
So this is off the subject, but Fuller, 6th and Fuller, there used to be no, there used to be open parking. There was no one on there for it seems like years. And now all of a sudden that is full.
6 and Fuller.
You mean Fuller from 6 north?
Yes, For
Sheriff-
one block.
Sheriff and the police department.
no,
No,
it's
it's
just that one block.
yeah, I think a lot of that is, some of it's school. Some of the new businesses that have gone into the, I think it's a line building on the backs.
Backside of that building.
I was thinking it was, I was just wondering if it were employees parking there that
Could
work
be.
at the. There's a day center.
So that's the other goal. Our goal is to make sure that things are, either, I don't know if it's interesting or beautified so that the downtown will grow. The Sport VID, one of their missions must be having a good district and keeping it full. I think we play into that too, like, if we have parking and we have
Yeah.
landscaping and,
Yeah, so
Then-
it's parking as an economic driver, sort of.
yeah, it is. I mean, I think that's what we need to get people to understand is that it has to be maintained. And, would you rather have your taxes do it, or would you rather decide if you're using downtown, you pay for it? If you're not using
Yeah, so-
downtown, don't worry about it.
So parking needs to be maintained because it's it's driving economic success at downtown. The one thing we didn't talk about also was, if there was any way for, what's going on Jackson behind the Atlas building? They just quit. What's going on there?
We've suspended, enforcement there until we've had a chance to discuss how we're gonna handle it. I mean, in my mind, I feel for them. But every option that we've thrown out there has basically come back with, no, that won't work.
Like what example would be?
So like the lot behind the Union Market, we were gonna make that, half of that, 80, all 88. No, that's too far.
This is for the Atlas people.
It's. Yeah, we've tried several kind of solutions. And it doesn't seem to work unless it's very low, cost parking. So,
So the Atlas is, I go to years.
It's
The
the,
buildings, right?
There's the plaster.
The plaster
And then
is
there's the
here.
Forest Square, and then there's the Atlas, and then towards.
Okay, it's
Broadway.
goes down toward the library.
Yeah.
yes,
Okay, I always have.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of options there,
Well, it's pretty.
because there's just not a lot of. The street is difficult because it's sloped. For whatever reason,
Yeah.
the way it's sloped.
What's coming out of the garage there too on Jackson, because the stairs are eaten up, you can't use the stairs on Jackson Street garage.
Well, that's what we sealed the deck. So now we should be able to use some of the capital money left over to reface those stairs.
I was talking to Steve, the manager of the Atlas building the other day. Alice Santos has sold it to Archibald, or what is the Montana Club guy?
Oh, Adjective.
Oh, really?
That's Bear
Oh,
Bobby.
really?
Yeah,
What? She sold the Atlas building.
she sold the Atlas building to,
Wow, that's
That's like-
new.
and his thing was that she'd put money into it and he was also gonna be putting money into it. There's like 15 apartments,
They're all low income.
they're all low income.
Will they continue?
I think, yeah, they'll be continuing low income. And, his thought was, cause I thought about the lot across Cruise and on Broadway. He said his people would be happy with the top level of Jackson Street. Stairs fixed, so they wouldn't have to slide up and down the street. And give them like half price and let them manage their own. If they can't afford it, they can't get themselves down to buy a permit or a computer, that's on them. It's not about, and we just have to figure out how to qualify them for
The top
Section 8.
level of the Jackson garage.
Well, not the garage, but you know, if you got the garage
Oh,
and
you're talking about the lot behind.
a lot behind lot 4.
Well, there's room, I mean, there's,
Or
so that's one of those lots that, as you saw, we were close to selling. Or sold out, but there's plenty of spaces.
so the only thing would be like above the garage would mean you can't park there in the winter, right? Cause that's where your snow goes. Is that right?
No. No,
What do you,
The only place you can't park is on the weather decks, the tops of each garage, because we have to plow those.
but you can
But the
walk
parking lot, you can park there.
from the Atlas.
right, I'm just saying,
You
yeah,
don't need stairs. You can walk up to
but
the.
it's really slippery.
Yeah,
on those. It sucks. But I mean, if the stairs were there, that would take care of one of their issues is, you know, going down to where you're, to the Union Market block, it's far, and they move the garbage can down, so some people are having to pay people to take their garbage down because it's, which is not where the garbage can was already, right there by that road.
That's
Was a challenge for
Well,
him, and it looked ugly.
It's still there.
No, they moved it down,
Where?
Now they're taking up a parking
Now the
spot
parking space.
down
Where?
further, between you and them.
further north.
Yeah.
So it used to be right there at
Oh.
kind of that side street entrance.
So you just dumped it into a parking
It's in a
space?
parking spot right now. We're working with solid waste.
The poor driver must hate that street, just must hate
And
it.
this is for the Atlas building?
Atlas and Placer,
Yeah.
suppose.
So that was Northwestern Energy, so they were trying to work with Northwestern Energy. They were gonna put bollards in front of their electrical box that's there, this is what the problem with the garbage can came up, cause they would put it back and it would hit the electrical box. So they were gonna fix the electrical box, put these concrete bollards in, and then that would prevent it from doing more damage in the future. And we had talked about possibly working with them to kick that corner out just a little bit so that the dumpster, so that the dumpster actually fit onto without being in the street part at all.
Yeah.
But when Northwestern put the bollards in, they put them so far towards the street or, towards the turn that, yeah, they're like 2 feet now.
Well, the other problem is it created a site distance issue.
Yeah,
And B, depending on who put the dumpster back, it was too close to the fire hydrant. There should be a mandatory 3 feet around every fire hydrant.
Sure,
So there was multiple issues with having that dumpster there, short of it being ugly. But now it's taking up a parking spot.
so it's just taking up a parking spot kind of adjacent to that.
down the
Down,
way.
down a little ways,
Down.
down the main entrance.
Oh, okay, so is solid waste paying for a parking spot?
We're working, and then depending on where it goes permanently, if it stays there, yes, they would continue to pay for a spot. And they would build, a housing around it so that it's not
That'll be good.
ugly to look at.
Okay.
So that would be, his impression was if they could get I said, what if we did a half price permit or something? I said, I don't have any numbers. I don't know if it might be $35 a month or whatever. He said, some of those residents are paying more in parking fees and tickets than they are rent.
Okay, but
Because
here's the beauty, is that now
the issue was, how do we establish what their income is? And
Well, if they fall, I think if we can figure out a way. We'll have to ask, how do they just say I'm on, I'm, what do they call it, healthy, they call it like, not healthy choices, but there's a different name for.
But here's our issue with that. If we do it for them, we have to do it for everybody.
Section 8, yeah, residential section 8, so that's iron
So
front.
You're either gonna have to designate the lots and the garages or whatever, but it has to be across the board. It can't just be for the apps.
yeah,
I'm not saying that, but so what would prevent us from saying, if you can go down and show us your section 8 card or whatever they have, identify them. That they are in the BID district or the downtown district and that they are residents. So I live in the Atlas building, here's my letter, here's my thing that says, you know, I am on section 8. You say, great, here's the lot you're gonna be in. And then we determine which lots are closer to them. And so for Atlas building, you put them in that lot up there off of Cruz, what is it, lot 4?
well, there's 4, but there's also lot 6, which is a little further.
Yeah, but what I was just saying, they were, I thought they might want undercover or whatever. We're not then messing with the plaster people in the actual
Yeah.
garage.
There's no room in the. Those are
Well,
the hot spots, right? The covered spots are what everybody wants.
Well, the Jackson garage itself, just, typically there's a waiting list. Last month, I don't think there was.
putting them up in the lot wouldn't affect that, right?
No, not
We're looking, and he
outside
thought,
the
they
structure.
got maybe 6 cars.
Yeah.
Of the 15 apartments.
Well, 6 cars there.
Right, but I know, I'm just saying, so then we have what, the iron front, and we go talk to that guy.
There's
The iron-
nobody in there.
the
There's
iron-
nobody in there.
The iron front, we already told that if they want, they have to do parking on Jackson.
Okay,
But there's nobody in there.
There's nobody in the iron front and they're not gonna be affordable housing.
okay. Okay.
The engineer came and spoke, there's gonna be like 4 condos upstairs that are gonna be sold. And then I think, was it 11 or 15 apartments?
Yeah.
In the mid floors that they would need parking for, and I told them, I was like, well, we only have so many parking spaces on Jackson. And we can make that all permit parking.
Old Bert and Ernie's lot's empty.
Well, we can push them over to Bert and Ernie's lot and see who complains if. I've never seen that lot full.
No, I haven't either.
The fullest I've ever seen it was when Northwestern parked all their crap in there and we told them to get out because they drove all their heavy equipment on there and I'm willing to bet that they damaged a lot.
Okay, so we have iron
I don't know
front.
how you're gonna work.
Let's just
that
go
out.
down the way. So we got iron front and then where else do we have? Is there something down by Bagel Company, Great Northern?
So here's the other issue then.
Okay,
I don't think we can limit it to just if you live downtown. Part of our problem with being a government entity is that we can't charge people more that don't live in our area just because they don't live in our area.
okay, well, this is us meeting the things, okay?
So if you live,
Well, that might
on
be perfect.
McHugh and you're still in section 8 housing, you could still get a.
So here's
Permit
the,
that
how's this for
person's
the
saying.
scenario? You know, I'm a business person, I'm bitching and moaning about parking not being available to my employees and all. I say, look, you have an employee who's on section 8 who comes down and is your wait staff, is your dishwasher. And they're here during the day, we have an opportunity. Here is whatever the halftime permit in these certain lots, that are around that we would also do for other people. And it's a win-win. We're like going, okay, we're helping you get people that live downtown. It's easier for them to live downtown and park. And then we're saying, if you're working downtown and you're on section 8, then, it's,
So whatever scenario you guys and we come up with, it still doesn't do us any good until we get the rate actually passed.
right.
For it to go.
But this is just more ammunition to say, this is why we're gonna move it to 150. Because we're doing,
Here's an idea.
okay,
I think, you find a lot, like lot 6, and you say there's 6 spots. Those are the section 8 spots. your permit is half price, say.
Okay.
I would bet. I would bet that not a lot of people, I don't know though, are gonna go for that half price even. Maybe.
Well, I mean,
I think a lot of those folks are disabled in some ways,
Well, that's why we
Or
went,
have-
that's why we went with the ADA lot, because that's
that was a
the
good
one,
idea.
Okay,
the one lady
To
that
walk
doesn't
up
live
that
in the
hill.
Atlas building, but works in,
I see.
what's the building next to it? The Plaster.
yeah,
Is it the Plaza or whatever, one of the buildings, she works at the vocational place. And they wanted her to have a parking spot up front, and we tried to explain to them that we have public streets. If we put a handicap sign that says this is a handicap parking, that isn't just for your employee, it's for the entire public. So we understand that there's a need for additional ADA parking. But that need might not always be there. So we were also trying to address those issues by having some more ADA spaces down there. The other thing that we've been hearing a lot of is, the ADA folks don't like paying for parking.
right. You know, and I think that when you said, with this, like, the reality, folks, is you should have been paying for the last 10 or 15 years. It just wasn't enforced.
Yeah,
And now I think we just have to be the
One
bad
thing
guy.
about that, I think, is that if you are disabled and you have some mobility issues, that yes, you have a car, you have a space, but then you have to get up. I know you could get passport, but you have to get out of the car, walk to the kiosk and.
Well,
Or
we could technically, and Chris is gonna probably scowl at me, but we could technically create like an ADA parking permit.
Where you wouldn't have to pay.
Where they would pay what
Oh.
ADA rates were. But then they wouldn't have to get out and deal with the kiosk at all, because
Oh,
it's being read by the LPR, but that would only be on street, and that'd be a different parking scenario, because.
And wouldn't be handicap, it would.
but most of these people I imagine can use a phone, but I don't know.
well, I mean, there's
the thing
ADA,
about
and there's, yeah, I mean, we're.
Atlas is you offered them the parking down the street, which is level. Where I think
I think,
the Sixth Street is up a hill
Yeah,
and number 6, so you have to think about these,
yeah,
many of these.
well, what if we
folks
just
have-
put a couple in every lot? What if we just we will have a percentage, or, like, we'll have 3 ADA or section 8 in this lot because it has, some availability, and then you say to them when they come down, okay, I'm a section 8, I would like to do this, where do you work, or where do you live? These are the lots that are available, and then they get to pick. They're gonna know if they wanna climb up a hill or not, they're gonna wanna know where, and you put them all in one spot, that doesn't really solve anything.
I mean, we can just do a flat percentage across the lots, because we're gonna inevitably get, well, why can't we go in this spot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you have to limit it like anything else. I
Right.
mean, there's only so many. I think
And
you
then-
have to limit it. You have
right,
to
and then
say-
they can come back to us and say, we find that there's 6 of us at the Atlas building who can't get parking, then you maybe make a little bit of an exception because that's where their residence is. And then you don't necessarily need 5 ADA parking spots by this jail,
Yeah, to get anything,
but we do that with permits.
like if you're gonna apply for section 8
Yeah.
housing. You can't just go get section 8 housing. It might take you several years on a waiting list.
Yeah.
To.
And they cut off that list now, so you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Well,
Yeah, you can't apply
you
anymore.
can't apply.
You can't apply anymore.
But I mean,
But would that work? I mean,
I
doing
think,
something where we had,
I think you have to limit the number of spaces.
Right, could it work? Sure, but I go back to my policy stance. Policy is the policy is the policy. Not, this is the policy for some of you and this is the policy for some of you.
well, we're not saying them, we're saying.
Just because they have
Yeah.
6 people that are right there next to a lot. Doesn't mean that they should get an exception to the policy.
Well, but the issue is we have unique things. It's like saying the civic center, hey, there's only this many any residential spots, so you only get that 10, but you have this giant facility that brings hundreds of people in. I mean, I think you have to, you say, we start with the percentage, that's what it is. And then if there's more need, then we go back and we look at it. We say, oh, we need to up things. It might be that these two go away. It might be that you have only 50 available in the whole city. And that you just.
Well, I think that's where the percentage of the lot, we could say,
Yeah.
5% of spaces in every lot are gonna be reserved for section eight.
But-
So in the lots that are bigger, they're gonna have more spots.
Yeah.
And,
No, that's
So
sort of,
not ADA, but low income, right?
or,
yeah, low income.
The ADA is set.
That work with employees. What do we do
ADA
with
is set
employees?
by,
Well, there's plenty of parking for the employees right
Cause
now.
we put them
We've
where,
only sold, last time I checked, four employee permits.
what we need to say is when people respond to something like, hey, we've done across the board, low income. We've done across the board employees. We're listening to you. We've raised the rates because we have to have garages. I think if you came back out and said, we made a blanket thing, and we have a percentage, every lot has a low income permit operability, you need to come to the parking commission, not the parking, to the downstairs, and show these two documents. And if there's availability, like I would if I was anybody, I'm gonna go down and say, I wanna be in this lot, you're gonna go, there are no parking spots, they're like, what's my next choice? You already do that now.
Like we said, we can do that.
Yeah,
It's just that, like, we're gonna have to have a policy that goes across the board.
yeah.
We're gonna have to establish that rate, and we're gonna have to establish what documents they're gonna have to show us.
And they're responsible for, if they don't, they don't do it every month, they get a ticket.
here's my bet. And that is that. I like the idea of risk of just limiting it to a certain percentage. But my hunch is there will be a few applicants, but not many.
That's okay.
Yeah.
At least you've.
Perception wise,
At least we're offered a solution.
What is the message? Helena cares. You're working, you're still working, you're low income. We want you downtown, you work downtown, you're a valuable human being. We got a spot for
So Andrew Paul has a manager,
you. Mhm.
Lonnie.
That's the guy from my town club.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, there's Hitch.
Hitch is there, I thought.
No, Hitch, that's the guy.
Hitch.
Yeah, Lonnie's a.
Lonnie's a project management. He's with Nicholson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Hitch.
So the thing we did ask. Steve, that you talked to? We asked them if. Because I know that this section 8 thing isn't just a thing to come.
No.
That does section 8 have an allocation of funds? That could be added to these residents for parking?
Well, that's up to them, in my opinion, for Steve or the manager. to-
Right, and I asked for
Yeah,
that so
that
that
would be
we could, if we knew that it was 30. Then we could sell them a permit for a $60 permit for $30 and their subsidy covers the other half of the thing.
I don't think we worry about whether it's something.
Well, but this is, my point is we've asked this over and over, and
Right.
we've never got any response back from the atmosphere.
Okay.
And so I'm glad that he talked to you because he hasn't returned any of our previous phone calls.
Should tell you it was on Saturday.
My phone's on 24/7.
But I mean, again, if you give people the power to make their own decision. Everybody knows, I mean, I've been watching people park across from the chamber on Broadway, on Sixth. And see people get out and you're thinking, well, I wonder where they're going. You see them like, oh, they must be going to Benny's, going by Benny's, oh, they must be going to the Oaks. And they're going up like to the Montana Club or they're going somewhere.
We're getting,
And,
to
yeah,
wrap up our work session.
and,
Yeah.
So can we, have a list of
Summary,
letters?
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna add that to the list we're gonna add that to the list, and that is
option.
an options for low income.
And he thought it would be their responsibility
The
to figure out.
discussion is that,
They don't think it's a ticket.
the discussion is to have a percentage of each lot to be low income.
And by reduced rate or.
Reduced rate.
Yeah. And it's based on income, not on accessibility. That's a whole different issue.
Right. Right.
We're not gonna cover around.
Alright, civic baseball.
Unfortunately, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
so
we're not asking for all the disabled parking spots to be free or.
do we wrap up and just send these out as meeting minutes so we can start the other meeting?
Yes.
Okay,
I have one other priority.
Oh, okay, yes, go ahead.
We've been working on the residential parking enforcement.
Yeah.
Problem. And I don't know if it's a priority, but something I'd like to add to the list that we at least address that and try to problem solve. How we handle enforcement, if we do at all.
Okay. So, we need to address how we handle enforcement in a residential district,
Or if we want to,
or if we want to.
yeah, or if we, are in.
okay. I'm gonna stop this
No,
recording.
Lindsay, what are you doing? She's just back and good my day.
Yeah. Is in California.